Jessie, and this is yoga. It's a Hatha yoga class. However, I normally teach power yoga, so I'll be offering a variety of options as we go through. If you find that you want this to be a little bit more relaxing, a little bit more de-stressing, I'll be showing you variations that you can take for that. If you feel like you want to be getting a little bit more sweaty, trying to work a little bit more on building up strength, you're welcome to take options I'll be showing you for that. So this is really a build your own adventure. As you're going through, if you have questions, you should be able to message them to Lisa. Lisa will be here to answer questions for you as we're going through. And I'm trying this outside. We'll see how it goes. I'm sure I'll be covered in pollen by the end of it. But as you're going through, I'm going to be trying to play music off of my phone to see if that works. If you guys are finding that it's not working at all, you can't hear me, the music is being super weird and distracting, go ahead and message that to Lisa. She'll let me know, and I'll just turn my music off, and you guys can play your own music in the background if you find that that works better for you. All right, so today's class is going to be a little bit twisty. Twist classes are really nice if you're trying to get some stress out. And we're going to be starting ourselves off in a Shavasana, or our corpse's pose. So in our corpse's pose, we bring our feet to about the width of the mat. We go ahead and lay all the way back and down. I don't know if you guys can still see me. Yes, you can. Okay. So in our corpse pose, we're going to go ahead and place one hand on our stomach, one hand on our chest. If that doesn't feel good for you, you can leave both hands out by your side, palms facing up. If you feel like this is hurting your lower back, you can place your feet on the mat at about the width of the mat and let your knees fall in to relax that lower back. Or if you want this to be a little bit more of a hip opener, you can place your feet against each other and let your knees fall open to the side. If you're finding that you don't like starting yourself off in Shavasana at all, you can always come up to a seated position if you prefer. So go ahead, settle in, find where you want to be starting out this class, and then go ahead, and if it feels comfortable, let your eyes close. If that doesn't feel comfortable, you can keep a soft gaze up towards the ceiling or the sky, wherever you are. Taking a second here, just to settle into the mat. Taking a second here to focus on the breath. Just noticing it. Not judging it, not trying to change it. Just paying attention to that natural breath pattern we carry with us throughout our day. Perhaps here we notice the relative warmth of that exhale compared to the relative coolness of our inhale. Taking a second here to notice how the breath flows through the body. Noticing how on the inhale, belly button pulls away from the spine, rib cages lift up and out, chest rises. And as we exhale, we reverse each of those three individual parts of the breath. Chest falls down, rib cages knit back together, belly button pulls back in towards the spine. Letting ourselves move smoothly through those three parts of the breath. Noticing how the hands move as we inhale and exhale. Perhaps bringing our attention to the mind here as well. Noticing any distractions that we brought with us to class. Maybe we're already thinking about what we're going to do once we're done with our yoga practice. Maybe we're hyper-focused on something happening in our day or our week. Whatever it is, we let those distractions float out of the mind, just as gently as they entered, like clouds passing through the sky. Focusing on the breath. If we find there's a distraction that's lingering, that doesn't want to pass through quite so easily. That's all right. Well, take a second here and imagine holding that distraction in your hand. Picture what it looks like, what it's shaped like. We'll go ahead, take that distraction and set it up on a shelf. We don't need it right now. We can come back and get it at the end of our practice. Returning our attention to the breath. From here, we're going to add just a little bit of movement to our breath practice. So if you had decided to take this pranayama in a seated position, go ahead and come back down to that Shavasana. And we're going to bring that right knee in towards the chest, grasping on the shin, maybe rocking that leg from side to side. Maybe we let it go just a little bit. Exhale, pull it back in. Remembering our breath here. We'll go ahead, extend that leg up towards the ceiling or sky if you're outside like me. We're going to grasp that leg either above or below the knee joint and flex and point the foot here. Maybe roll that ankle around. Maybe we want to exhale, release the leg slightly, and inhale, pull it in just a little bit closer. Whenever you're ready, we're going to go ahead, let that right leg drop over to the left. So you're welcome, if you'd like, to bend the knee into a 90-degree angle or keep it straight. Maybe that foot touches the ground, maybe it floats, either is fine. From here, we can extend that right hand out to the side and then maybe take the gaze to look over that right hand. We'll go ahead, exhale, bring that right knee back into the chest, hug it in tight one more time, and then go ahead and send it long to meet the left leg. From here, we'll pull that left knee in towards the chest, again, grasping on the shin, maybe rocking that knee side to side. Maybe exhale, let it go slightly. Inhale, pull it in a little tighter. Whenever you're ready, we can extend that foot up towards the ceiling. Maybe flexing and pointing the foot, maybe rolling out the ankle. Maybe we exhale, let that leg go slightly. Inhale, pull it in a little deeper. Whenever you're ready, we're going to take that left leg, drop it over to the right side, crossing it across the body. Maybe we keep that leg straight. Maybe we want to bend it at a 90-degree angle. We can take that left hand, extend it out to the side, and maybe take the gaze over to the left as well. Two more deep breaths here. And we'll go ahead, bring that left knee back into the chest. Take the right knee, pull it in as well. We're gonna make ourselves into a little yogi egg. Grip the legs tightly here, rock side to side on the spine gently if it feels comfortable. We'll go ahead, exhale back down, coming into a reverse tabletop position. So in a reverse tabletop position, our legs are at a 90-degree angle to the mat. We're gonna take our hands and place them right on top of the thighs here. Peel your shoulders off the mat and press your hands tightly into the thighs. Pushing against them just like they're a wall and we're trying to push them over, but our legs won't let us move. This just warms up the core here, Just a little tiny core warm up. Maybe we shake a little bit here at the top. We're pushing so hard. We'll go ahead, come back down, plant feet on the mat, windshield wiper those knees from side to side. Coming back up into that reverse tabletop position. This time we're gonna take the arms, take the triceps, exhale up, and think about bringing your tricep to the outside of that leg. Just pausing here for a second. I want you to notice how high up you can get that tricep on the leg. Exhale back down. Turn over to the left, crunch up, trying to bring those triceps to the outside of the leg again. Exhale back down. You can take a couple more of these crunches at your own pace if you'd like. You can just pause and hold on one side for as long as you'd like. I'm going to do this for about 3 more breaths, so feel free to move at your own pace, and if you'd prefer, you can come back to that deep press against your reverse tabletop. 1 more breath here, maybe finish out both sides. And we'll come back to center, drop the feet down to the mat, windshield wiper those knees 1 more time. From here, your options, you can either grab onto your shins and roll yourself up to a tabletop into a seated position, or if you prefer, you can roll over onto one side. Use your left hand to push yourself into a seated position. Coming into our crisscross applesauce or our easy pose. Maybe we rest the hands on the knees. Taking a second here to come back to that breath we found at the beginning of class. From here, we'll inhale gently, opening our heart towards the front of whatever room you're in. Coming into a seated cow back. We'll exhale, curve your belly button in towards the spine, rounding your back. Chin comes in towards the belly button, seated cat back. You can move in between these 2 poses if you'd like, moving at your own pace. Whenever you feel about ready, we're going to come back to center. Gently twist over to the right, bringing your left hand to meet the right knee, or right hand to the base of the spine. We inhale, crown of the head up towards the sky before twisting gently over to the right. One more deep breath here. We're gonna exhale through center. Take right hand over to the left knee, left hand to the base of the spine. Again, inhaling tall. We've got a nice straight spine before we twist over to the left. One more breath here. And we'll inhale back to center. Pausing for a second here to return to that breath. We'll set an intention for our practice here. That can be anything from a word, to a phrase, to positive energy you'd like to send to somebody else in your day. If nothing is coming to mind, you're always welcome to borrow mine, which today is, I am present. We'll seal in that intention with a deep breath, and exhale, roll forward into a tabletop position. Hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. We're gonna tuck the toes and lift the hips up and back, coming into our downward facing dog. Now in our downward facing dog, our ears should be in between the biceps, and we should be making one nice straight line with the spine. That may mean that you want to walk your feet in a little and bend through your knees. You should be able to bring your chest onto the top of the thighs and find that's about where you want your spine to be. Maybe re-straightening through the legs after that. Maybe you want to walk your legs out a little bit more. Maybe you want to keep them in nice and tight with a bent knee. From here, we'll look up in between the hands, gently walk our way up to meet them, hanging here in our forward fold. Maybe we grasp hands to elbows and make a little figure 8 motion with the arms here. Maybe we nod the head yes. Maybe we shake the head no. And we'll go ahead and let the hands come back down towards the toes. Take fingertips, trace them up the shins, coming into a flat back. Crown of the head reaches towards the front of the mat. Exhale all the way back down, then deeply into the knees, hands spread wide, we root to rise. Inhale all the way up to your standing salute. Hands touch through heart center to our Tadasana or mountain pose. Sorry, my head is cut off here. Taking a second just to return to that breath. We'll inhale, bend into the knees, hands come all the way up. Exhale with a flat back all the way back down. We'll press hands into the mat, bending into your knees as much as you need. Step back left foot to plank. Step back right foot to plank. Pausing here for a second. Maybe rocking a little bit back and forth on the toes. We'll send those hips up and back, coming back into our downward facing dog. Maybe pedaling out the heels here. From here, we'll inhale, lift right leg up towards the ceiling. Exhale, bring your knee in towards the nose, floating here. We'll drop that right foot in between the hands. Now, if your foot didn't make it all the way up in between the hands and it's trapped back here, totally fine. Grab it, pull it forwards. From here, we'll exhale, drop the left knee, untuck the toes, finding your version of a low lunge. That can be anything from keeping your hands tinted here, letting them float on either side of that foot, bringing them up onto the top of the knee, or inhaling hands up and overhead. Find which version works best for you today. Wherever you are, trying to make sure you've got one straight line in between your knee and your ankle. If you look down and you can't see that big right toe, go ahead, scoot it forward just a little bit to protect that front knee. One more deep breath here in your low lunge. We'll bring hands to heart center, gently twist over to the right. Now we're not going to take a tricep twist just yet. We're going to extend hands out, pause for a second here, just to find our balance. Exhale back to center, bring hands back to heart center. Take your hands down to frame that front foot. Send the hips down and back, straightening through the front leg, coming into our half splits or half Hanumanasana. Couple of options for you here. You can stay here. You can wiggle that foot side to side if you want to get all 3 hamstrings. Or if you'd like to make this pose a little bit more dynamic, you can move in between your low lunge and your half splits. Go ahead and figure out which option feels good to you. We'll stay here for about 3 breaths. And on your last breath, we'll inhale back to that low lunge. Bring hands up to heart center. Take that left tricep, hook it on top of that right leg, coming into a twisted low lunge. So in this twist, what we really want is a lot of pressure in between the hands. We want to rotate the chest up off of the thigh. We don't want to let the chest rest on the leg. The work here is coming from our core and our hands. A deep twist here. Now you have a couple of options for our next transition. Your option number 1, bring hands back down to frame the foot, tuck the toe, lift the back leg up, and bring yourself back into this twist. Option number 2, from this twist, tuck the back toe, lift yourself straight up off the ground. Figure out which option works for you, and if you find yourself in this high lunge twist and it doesn't feel good, take yourself out of it for a second, wiggle yourself around, and then go ahead, find your way back into it. There's no right way to transition between poses, only the way that works for you. Once you've made your way into this high lunge twist, go ahead, take 2 deep breaths here. From here, we're gonna inhale up to center and drop the back heel, opening up into our warrior two. So a couple of pointers here. I'm gonna turn myself around so you guys can see the front of me. Our front heel should be bisecting the arch of that back foot. The back foot should be about parallel with the back of your mat. From here, we extend hands out, strong fingers, lots of energy from the fingers here. So maybe we want to check on that back hand. It likes to wander off. We want to keep it in line with that front hand. From here, we'll inhale, straightening through the front leg, bring hands to touch overhead. Exhale, sink all the way back down. Inhale, we straighten, hands touch, even though I know you can't see them. Exhale, all the way back down. We're gonna do this about 4 more times. You're welcome to move at your own pace. If you want to move faster, if you want to move slower, feel free to go with your own breath. One more deep breath here. And we'll exhale back down into that warrior two. Pause for a second here. And then we'll cartwheel the hands down to frame that front foot. Twist up onto the back toes. Inhale, lift right leg all the way up and back to that downward facing dog. Again, maybe pedal out the feet here. From here, we're gonna roll ourselves forward into a tabletop position. Option number 1, you can drop the knees, untuck the toes, lower yourself all the way down. Option number 2, keep the knees off the mat, pull elbows in, come down halfway, and then we're gonna peel the chest off of the mat. So your option number 2, you have thighs off the mat. Option number 1, thighs on the mat, coming up as high as you'd like. Pausing for a second here, and then we'll move through either tabletop or plank, back to our downward facing dog. Moving through this transition on the other side, we inhale, lift left leg up towards the sky. Exhale, bring left knee in towards the nose. Drop that foot in between the hands, untucking the back toes. Finding your variation of your low lunge here. Maybe you keep hands on the mat. Maybe you bring them up onto the top of the thigh. Maybe you inhale, hands up and overhead. Figuring out which option works best for you. One more deep breath here. We're going to bring hands to heart center, twist gently over to the left. Again, not taking that tricep twist just yet, just finding our balance, maybe opening the hands. We'll exhale back to center. Bring hands down to frame that front foot and extend through that front leg, coming into your half splits, half Hanumanasana. Again, maybe we wiggle that foot around. Maybe we stay in a static pose here, static stretch. Maybe we move in between that low lunge in our half splits. Go ahead, find your option. We'll be here for 3 breaths. And I'm gonna go ahead and check and make sure we haven't gotten any messages yet. All right. Just a reminder, if at any point you feel like the music is too loud, you have questions, you can always comment in the chat to Lisa and she'll send me a text message so I can see any concerns that you guys have as we're going through. One last breath here. And we'll go ahead and meet together in that low lunge. Inhale, hands up to heart center. This time we're going to take that right tricep, hook it over top of that front leg. Again, pressing in between the hands here, deep twist, rotating the chest up and off of that front thigh. We want to keep a nice strong core here. Pausing for 2 breaths. From here, you have 2 options to transition to the next pose. Option number 1, bring hands down, tuck the back toes, lift yourself up, and come back into that nice deep twist. Option number 2, tuck the back toes, lift yourself straight up into your high lunge twist. And if neither of these feel good, go ahead, come all the way up, wiggle yourself out, make sure your hips feel good before rejoining us. And that nice, deep high lunge twist. Holding here for 2 breaths. Again, strong core, lots of pressure in between the hands. From here, we'll inhale through heart center, drop the back heel, opening ourselves up into our warrior 2. Checking to make sure we've got that front heel bisecting the arch of the back foot. Nice strong hands. Maybe we want to flip the hands, bring the shoulders down, and then bring them back. From here, we'll inhale, straighten the front leg, hands touch overhead. Exhale, we sink back down. Inhale, we rise. Exhale, we sink back down. Again, we're gonna do this for 4 more breaths. You're welcome to move at your own pace. On your last one, meeting in that warrior 2. From here, we cartwheel hands down, frame that front foot, twist up onto your back toes. We inhale, lift left leg all the way up and down into that downward facing dog. Look up in between your hands and walk yourselves up to meet them. Hanging here in our forward fold, we inhale, trace fingertips up the shins, coming into a flat back. Exhale all the way down, root to rise, hands spread wide. Inhale all the way up to that standing salute. And exhale down to your Tadasana or mountain pose. Taking a second here to return to that breath. Return to your intention. From here, we inhale, bend into the knees, hands spread wide, root to rise all the way up. And with a flat back, come all the way down into that forward fold. We inhale, halfway lift. Exhale all the way down, bend into the knees, press hands into the mat, step back right foot to plank. Step back left foot to plank, pausing here for just a second. Maybe rocking back and forth on the toes. And then we'll send those hips up and back, downward facing dog. From here, we lift the right leg up, 3-legged dog. Exhale, bring knee in towards the nose. Plant that foot in between the hands. Again, you're more than welcome to grab it, pull it forwards. From here, we inhale, fingers behind us. Exhale, rise up into our crescent lunge. We're going to bring hands to heart center. Take that left tricep, hook it over to the right, bringing it on top of that front leg, coming into that high lunge twist, just like we did before. Remember, strong hands here. Chest is lifted up and off of that front leg. 2 deep breaths. We'll inhale through heart center. Drop the back heel, opening up into your warrior 2. Again, I'm gonna rotate myself around so you can see me. In our warrior 2, we'll flip the front hand, lean forward slightly. Exhale, bring right hand up and overhead and behind you. Option for your left hand, you can rest it on your thigh. You can rest it on your shin. Or if you'd like, you can bring it behind your back into a little half bind. Nice deep bend through that front leg. Don't forget about it. A lot of people forget about that front leg. Deep bend. This is our reverse warrior. We'll exhale through heart center back to that warrior 2. From here, we'll take the right tricep, bring it down onto the top of that front leg. Option for your left hand, it can either point straight up and overhead, or it can point over the top of your head towards the front of your mat. Standing side angle. If you're really enjoying yourself here and you want to take this stretch a little bit further, you can take that right hand down to the mat. If you have a block, you can always stack it on a block as well. We'll exhale up through our warrior 2. And from here, we're going to transition in between these 2 poses a couple of times, flipping the front hand, Exhale up and back to our reverse warrior. On the inhale, moving through warrior two and down to our standing side angle. This transition is called our dancing warrior. Feel free to move at your own pace in between these two poses. We'll take 4 transitions. And once you've finished your 4, we'll meet back together in our warrior two. Pausing here for just a second to reconnect to that breath. We'll go ahead, exhale, cartwheel hands down to frame that front foot, twist up onto the back toes. Inhale, lift right leg all the way up and back to our downward facing dog. From here, we roll forward into a plank, finding either knees on the ground or knees off the ground. We lower ourselves down and heel chest off the mat, finding either cobra with legs on the mat or upward facing dog with thighs off the mat. We move through either tabletop or plank back to our downward facing dog. From here, we lift up the left leg, 3-legged dog. Exhale, knee to nose. Plant that foot in between the hands. From here, we inhale, arms behind us. Exhale, rise up to our high lunge. Pausing for a second here to find our balance. We'll bring hands to our heart center. Take that right tricep, hook it over top of that front leg, your left leg. Strong hands, lots of pressure in between the arms here, rotating that chest up and off of the thigh. 2 deep breaths here. And we'll go ahead, exhale back to heart center, drop that right heel, opening up into our warrior two. Again, I'm gonna rotate myself around. Pausing for a second here to check on our alignment, checking the front leg, checking the back leg. We'll flip that front hand, lean forward slightly, exhale up and back to your version of your reverse warrior. Again, options for that right hand, thigh, shin, or a half bind. 2 deep breaths here. Don't forget that strong bend through the front leg. Exhaling through warrior two, we take that left elbow, place it on the front leg. Inhaling right hand either straight up or overhead towards the front of your mat. If you want to take this pose a little bit deeper, you can always take that left hand to the mat on the inside of that foot. I'm not going to do it today because I have a hamstring injury on this leg. And we'll exhale all the way up through heart center. And we'll transition into our dancing warrior. So exhaling back to that reverse warrior. Inhaling through heart center, down to our standing side angle. Finding 4 of these transitions. Moving at your own pace, following your own breath. Whenever you finished your your fourth, we'll meet back together in our warrior two. From here, we'll exhale, cartwheel hands down to frame that front foot, twist up onto the back toes. Inhale, bring that left leg all the way up and back to our downward facing dog. Look up in between the hands and gently walk your way up to meet them. Inhale, halfway lift, trace fingertips up the shins. Exhale, all the way down to root to rise, bend deeply into the knees. Inhale, all the way up to our standing salute. Hands touch through heart center, down to our Tadasana. Pausing for a second here to reconnect to that breath. Reconnect to your intention, and maybe adjust anything that's become uncomfortable. From here, we bend deeply into our knees. Inhale, root to rise all the way up with a flat back coming all the way down to that forward fold. Bend into the knees, plant hands into your mat, step back left foot to plank, step back right foot to plank, pausing here for just a second. We inhale all the way up and back to our downward facing dog. Right leg comes up, three-legged dog. Inhale, knee up towards the nose. Plant that foot in between the hands. Exhale, fingers behind us. Inhale, we rise all the way up to our high lunge. Hands touch. Take that left tricep. Twist over to the side, coming into our high lunge twist. Option, if you would love to open the hands. Maybe that left hand reaches the floor. 2 deep breaths here. Exhale, bring hands back to heart center. Come up all the way, drop the back heel. Open up into your warrior two. From here, we're going to straighten through that front leg. Lean forward, leaning all the way until you can't lean anymore. And then we'll hinge at the hips, bringing ourselves into our triangle pose. Options for your triangle, your right hand can come onto the thigh, can come onto the shin. If you have a block, you can bring it to a block, or you can bring that hand all the way down to the mat. Your left hand should be pointing straight up. We've got a nice flat chest. We're thinking about rotating our belly button up towards the sky. Two deep breaths here. We'll bend deeply into that front leg. Inhale all the way up to our warrior two. Exhale, cartwheel, hands down to frame that front foot. Twist up onto the back toes. Inhale, lift right leg all the way up and back down to your downward facing dog. From here, we'll move through our vinyasa flow, exhaling forward to our plank, either dropping the knees and moving through our cobra, or keeping the knees off the mat and moving through our upward facing dog. From here, we transition through either tabletop or a plank and back to our downward facing dog. Repeating on the other side, we inhale left leg up, exhale knee to nose. Plant that foot on the mat. Exhale, hands behind us. Inhale up to our high lunge. From here, hands come to heart center. Take that right tricep, hook it over top of that front leg. Last time through our standing high lunge twist. Option here, if you would love to, you can open the hands, perhaps right fingers meet the mat. Two breaths here. And we'll bring ourselves up to heart center, drop the back heel, opening up into our warrior two. In our warrior two, we're gonna straighten through that front leg. Bring the left hand forward, reach, reach, reach until you can't reach anymore, and then hinge at the hips, bringing that left hand towards the ground, right hand straight up and overhead. Options for the left hand, you can always leave it here floating. You can bring it onto the thigh, you can bring it onto the shin, you can perhaps bring it all the way to the ground. If you have a block, you can rest your hand on the block, finding a transitional pose. Remembering here, we're trying to make ourselves into one straight line, thinking about rotating belly button up towards the sky. One more deep breath here. And we'll inhale all the way up to our warrior two. Cartwheel, hands down, frame that front foot, twist up onto the back toes. Inhale, left leg all the way up and down, downward facing dog. From here, we look up in between the hands, walk, hop, or float your way up to meet them. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, all the way down, root to rise, hands spread wide. Inhaling all the way up to our standing salute. Hands come through heart center, down to our Tadasana. Pausing for a second here to reconnect to the breath, reconnect to our intention. From here, we're going to go ahead and make our way into our peak pose for today, which is our side crow. And sorry, I am not there to help you guys as we're moving through this pose, but I'm going to go ahead and give you all a couple of options you can play around with. And if you want to message Lisa any questions you're having about this pose, she'll send them to me, and I'll find a way to get you some answers as we're moving through this. So for our side crow, we're going to come down into a little half squat. So you'll see I'm on my toes here. I'm going to take myself to twist over to the left. Hands are nice and flat, and I plant them on the ground. So one thing to notice as you're trying to make your way into your side crow, you want your legs to be really high up on your triceps. So I'm actually trying to make sure that my knee is basically in my armpit. Another important trick, this back hip should be on your back tricep. You should have 2 points of connection. Knee on one tricep, elbow on the back hip. From here, I come up onto my toes. I look forward. This is very important. Look forward. Tip forward, tip, tip, tip. And whenever I feel ready, I can lift those back toes off the ground. So once you try it on one side, make sure you try it on the other. I twist over to the right. Left tricep comes onto my right knee. Plant that hand on the ground. Right tricep onto the back hip. Plant that onto the ground. Look forward, tip, 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 tip. Eventually floating those back toes off of the mat. Go ahead and play around with it. If this is a new pose for you and you're trying to just start, go ahead and keep playing around. If this is a pose you've done before and you're looking for some other variations, I'll go ahead and walk through them. Again, if this pose is new for you, stick with this first variation. You can ignore me for the next couple of seconds. So a couple of variations, if you're familiar with this pose, you can come down into this pose and perhaps try opening your legs. Another option is to open both legs in one direction. So both of your legs point forward. A final variation, if you really want to practice your core work here, is to remove that back hip. So when you come into the pose, your back elbow is off of that back hip. That'll be your final and full expression of the pose. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys play around with this for a minute or two. And whenever you feel like you're done, you're welcome to go ahead and make your way into any pose that you'd like. You're always welcome to join me in a child's pose. So I'm going to give you all a minute to play around with it. Again, if you have questions, text Lisa. She'll send them to me. If you've decided to go ahead and make your way straight into a child's pose, take a couple of seconds here to do some deep breaths. Reconnect yourself to that breath we found at the beginning of class. You're still playing around with your side crow. Take a couple more seconds here to practice whatever you've done on one side, on the other side as well. Even yourself out. All right, guys, go ahead, finish it out. You're always welcome to keep playing around with this pose. I can't tell what you're doing, so you can keep playing around with it indefinitely if you want. But I'm gonna go ahead and move on, finding my way into a child's pose. Maybe you want to bring your knees out to the width of the child's pose, let your toes touch behind you, sinking yourselves down. Maybe we reach hands overhead. Maybe we bring hands behind us. We want a little bit of more relaxation for the shoulders. Pressing the forehead into the mat, maybe rocking the forehead side to side on the mat, giving our forehead a bit of a massage. Taking a moment here to find that breath. We'll inhale, make our way up into a tabletop position here. Hands underneath the shoulders, knees right underneath of the hips. We're going to take the right knee, bring it up towards the right wrist. Grab onto the right foot and bring your leg up so that it's somewhat parallelish to the front of the mat. You can have it anywhere from 45 degrees to perfectly parallel with the front of the mat. From here, we'll come onto the top of that left leg, making our way into our pigeon pose. So for our pigeon pose, if you already have it, feel free to go ahead and find it. If this is a new pose for you, we're gonna go ahead and rock our weight side to side to make sure we've evenly distributed the weight between both hips. And then your first option is just to keep your hands here on the mat. Your second option, you can bring your elbows down to the mat. And perhaps if you'd like to get really deep into the pose, you can extend hands up and overhead, bringing your chest down to the mat. Now, if you hate this pose, it doesn't feel good at all, you can't get comfortable in it, you can always come into a seated figure 4 pose. So this is your modification for your pigeon. If you'd like to take it, bring left leg to the mat, take right foot, bring it over top of that left leg, taking a figure 4 with the legs. In your figure 4, you can always bring that left foot closer to the sits bones to take it a little bit deeper. Otherwise, if you're in your pigeon, go ahead, take a couple more deep breaths here. From here, we'll walk ourselves up onto our hands. Rock yourself over to the right side, so you're rocking yourself onto that right hip, and swing your left leg all the way up, over, and around. So right now, I've got my right leg on the ground. I'm going to bring that right heel into my sits bones. My left leg is on top of it, and on the outside of that right leg, moving our way into our half lord of the fish. Now, if you don't have both sits bones on the ground, you can extend that right leg out and in front of you. From here, I'm going to wrap right arm around that left leg. Take left hand and place it at the base of my spine, twisting gently over to the left. From here, we'll exhale through center all the way over to the right to even ourselves out here. And back to center. Unwind those legs and make your way back into your tabletop position. From our tabletop, we take that left knee, bring it up to the left wrist. Grab onto that left foot and bring your legs somewhat parallelish to the front of the mat. Again, finding our way into our pigeon pose. We want to make sure we've got our weight evenly distributed between both hips. We can come onto our hands. We can come onto our elbows. We can extend hands all the way up and overhead. And if we don't want to be taking a pigeon at all, we can bring right leg to the mat, cross left leg over top of it. Finding whichever variation of this pose works for you and sinking down into it. A few more breaths here. And we'll go ahead and make our way back up onto the hands. Rock yourself over to that left hip, tipping the weight to the left side. Swing right leg up, around, into the outside of that left leg. So I'm going to take my left heel and bring it in towards my sits bone. So I've got left leg on the ground, right leg crossed over top of it. Again, if both sits bones aren't on the ground here, you can extend that left leg out in front of you. So I've got left leg in front of me, right leg crossed over top of it. From here, making our way into our half lord of the fish, we wrap left arm around that right leg. Take right hand to the base of the spine. Inhale nice and tall before twisting over to the right. One more deep breath here. And we'll move through heart center all the way over to the left. And come back to center. From here, we're going to extend both legs out in front of us and just shake them out for a second. Let them go, let them go, let them go. We're going to slowly lower ourselves down to the mat. So extend your hands out in front of you. We're going to just lower ourselves down with a nice flat spine for the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.5. 1. Okay, go ahead, let yourself go. Lay all the way back onto the mat, just like that Shavasana we started out class with. And if you'd like, go ahead, bring your feet onto the mat, windshield wiper those knees from side to side. From here, we'll bring knees into the chest. Go ahead, grab onto the shins, rock side to side, find your little yogi egg, massage out the spine here. And then we're gonna grab onto the outsides of the feet, pulling our knees in towards our armpits, coming into our happy baby. Again, you can rock side to side here. Maybe you extend one leg and the other if you don't have a hamstring injury like me. Maybe you extend both legs at the same time. Maybe you stay here in your happy baby. And we'll go ahead, bring those feet back out to the width of the mat. If you have any last poses that you feel like you want to finish out your practice, you're welcome to take them here. A fan favorite is always coming into our bridge or our legs up the wall. If you'd like that to finish out your practice. In your bridge, you just bring your hips up towards the ceiling, maybe interlacing your hands. In our legs up the wall, we just bring our feet up towards the ceiling, maybe pointing and flexing the toes. And whenever you feel like you're ready to finish out your practice, we're going to make our way back into that Shavasana we started out the class in. So bringing our feet to the width of the mat, letting toes fall open to the side, perhaps bringing hands to the belly and the chest, perhaps letting them fall, palms facing out to the sides. Making your way, whenever you're ready, into your final resting posture for the class. Often considered one of the most difficult postures for the class. Perhaps we close the eyes, taking a second here to reconnect to that breath. Maybe we notice the toes. Maybe we notice whether or not we're holding tension in the toes we didn't realize we were holding. Letting them go, relaxing the heels into the mat. Bringing our attention up to the calves, letting them go, to the upper legs, to the hips, sending our breath to any places where we're still holding tension. Bringing our attention up to the core, letting it sink into the mat. Noticing the natural curve in our spine. Letting our shoulder blades sink back down. Hands spread open to the sides. We let our fingers sink down into the ground. Bringing our attention up to the face, relaxing the eyebrows. Letting our tongue fall away from the roof of the mouth. Letting our attention exit up and out through the crown of the head. Moving into a place of total relaxation. Slowly, whenever you're ready, bringing awareness back into the body. Wiggling the fingers, wiggling the toes, maybe rotating the wrists, rotating the ankles. Maybe we bring our hands up to the face and rub out the temples. Trace our hands over the eyebrows. Maybe we bring our hands down to the ears and rub out the ears. Maybe, if it feels comfortable, we reach our hands up and overhead, taking a deep stretch like we've just gotten out of bed. And whenever you're ready, we'll roll onto the right side, letting your tricep cradle the head like a pillow, pressing our left hand into the mat. pausing for just a second here in this place of new beginnings. Thank yourself for putting your body first today. To thank your body for all of the hard work it did for you. Keeping your eyes open or closed as feels comfortable, you can press yourself into a seated posture. Crisscross applesauce. Maybe resting the hands on the knees for a second here. We'll inhale, bringing hands up and overhead. Let the palms touch. Thumbs come to the third eye to inspire kind thoughts. To the lips to inspire kind words. And heart center to inspire kind intentions. The light within me sees and honors the light within each of you. And if you'd like, you can repeat after me as we bow. Namaste. Thank you guys all so much for joining me in our new Zoom classes. If you don't mind leaving some feedback before you go, you can use the chat function to message Lisa, and she'll let me know any feedback you have from the class. What of this did you like? What of it did you not like? Did trying to do this outside work really well? Or would you prefer I go inside and try and find somewhere a little bit quieter? Did the music work? Would you prefer if I have the music silent and you guys can play your own music? What parts of me trying to demonstrate poses did you think worked really well or didn't work really well? Go ahead and message us that feedback. And I look forward to seeing you potentially next week.